Tasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupetya Apetya Krityam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Maitaya Tadavo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshai Kiptastakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanda Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tave Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Pancha Kalpatirubhascha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, so we're going to begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Vishnu Om Vishnu Pada Sto Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Vishnu Om Vishnu Pada Sto Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and all the Sama Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, the tension has been rising. Are the gopis going to come out and get their clothes? Not? Yes. We understand by this the quality of prem, the experience, is rising in the hearts of both Krishna and the gopis. This is what is being meant to conveyed here, that this has no relationship with any mundane pastime, that the emotions are all completely, purely transcendental. In Prem Samput, in the commentary of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, he's talking about how Krishna could never be attracted or experience mundane lust because he's Aptakam and Atmaram. He's fully self-satisfied and all his desires are satisfied. So what can attract him, what can overpower him? Only love. This is an extraordinary concept. And then to go from there to try to understand what real love is. And that's why the Bhagavatam was written. When Srila Vyasadeva, even after having compiled all the Puranic literature, and the Puranas, Padma Purana and some of the others, do have extraordinary pastimes of Radha and Krishna, but within them and other parts are mixed some taint of the taste, or the direction that you can do this and do that and then get some material pleasure, right? Even though it's a very elevated literature, it's not completely spotless. And so he was feeling dissatisfied in his heart. And then Narad Muni came to him and told him that you've not sufficiently and properly glorified the pastimes of Sri Krishna in Vrindavan. So, this Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Palam Shuka Mukad Amrita Dravasamyatam Pipata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Mahoda Ho Rasika Bhuvi Babukaha. The Bhagavatam if the Vedic literature is compared to a tree, and some literatures are like the leaves, some are like different fruits at various stages of ripeness and taste, but at the very top of the tree, the ripest fruit with no skin and no seeds, just pure juice, that's the Bhagavatam. And even more than that, having been spoken, well, first having been heard and tasted by Shukadev Goswami and then spoken by him, it becomes even more relishable. And our appreciation of the Bhagavatam has to follow in that line as well, that if we were to read independently, without guidance, without commentary, without instruction on how to approach and realize Bhagavatam, then it wouldn't be understood and wouldn't have the same effect, right? And so we're hearing through the voices of our self-realized Rasikacharyas, who are themselves gopis, who are themselves, experiencing and tasting this. And so when we hear in that way, and we pray that when we hear these pastimes, we don't allow mundane thoughts, mundane tastes, mundane desires to enter our heart, but we want to develop the kind of selfless love that the gopis have, then these pastimes become transformed. And then everything that they do, everything they express, even their shyness, their reluctance, the contest between their shyness and then coming out and fulfilling Krishna's desire, it's all transcendental play that causes the love of Krishna to increase and their love to increase. Spotless love, pure love. So, I'm just going to read something that we had read before. Krishna had called them to come out of the water. Now, repeating this makes it a little longer to finish it, but at the same time, I think it bears repeating, because even when I'm reading this again, I'm thinking, I've never read this before. It's like, I haven't read this, I haven't heard this, I haven't understood this properly. So, coming to the point where Krishna is, again, encouraging them, they're overcome by their shyness, right? And yet they're seeing that beautiful object of their love sitting in that tree, so beautiful, whose effulgence eclipses the radiance of the sun itself, right? Their joy at seeing him and hearing his words is filling their hearts, but they still can't come out. And Krishna tells them, don't be disturbed. I have stolen your pure, sparkling garments just to attract your minds and relish some pleasurable pastimes. These are pastimes of love, right? So offer me something. Give me a necklace, right? And give up your pride, right? And come here and get your clothes. So we just talked about the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. Then Kavi Kanapur says, the fruit on the vine of the Katyayani Vrat, which is difficult for others to attain, had now spontaneously ripened for the gopis. Everything that they had done for this entire month was now coming to fruition. Drinking the words flowing from Krishna's mouth, which indicated his greed for them, the gopis savored a stream of ras-filled nectar. They saw it as an exclusive gift awarded to them on the auspicious completion of their vrat. In this way, the gopis overcame the fatigue from executing their austere vow. Later in the Bhagavatam, when Krishna calls them for the Rasa Leela, this same idea is going to be expressed. That the gopis are overjoyed because his actions here and his actions later are indicating that he has greed for their love, right? That he actually wants them to taste them. What could be more fulfilling for a heroine than to know that the hero, the Nayak, has a great desire to be with them? In other words, Krishna wants to taste their love, taste their love-filled service. That was the purpose of their vrat. No personal motive. They say we want Krishna as our husband, but what that meant is that we want to be able to enter into a relationship of pure service to Krishna. Now he's expressing that, right? He's expressing that, and thus they're overjoyed. But still, they're shy. They're shy. And they're lowering their eyelids in shyness, and they cast sidelong glances to reprimand that expert thief who fulfills all desires. So they're communicating with him with their eyes, with these crooked glances. What are you doing? This is so inappropriate. They're overjoyed, but they're still criticizing him. And Krishna's appearance seemed like some good fortune arriving at the wrong time. The contradictions, right? Just excites and increases the prem. Their extreme joy forcefully propelled them to Krishna, yet simultaneously filled them with confusion. In this state of bewilderment, they ignored the coldness of the water and submerged themselves up to their neck. Remember, we read that. So they're so happy, and yet this obstacle of shyness and embarrassment is still there. In this world we have the saying, the immovable object and the irresistible force, right? These two things, matter and antimatter, two opposing things, how can one overcome the other? So how can their love for Krishna overcome their shyness and embarrassment, the ornaments of their very nature? So they're not yielding. So we read about that, and I just wanted to back up to that conflict so we could remember what's going on. Then they spoke to him and pleased him by citing his wonderful qualities, right? As the son of the topmost dharmic king of Braj, right? Nanda Maharaj. You're also like that. Why are you putting us through this difficulty? This is not appropriate behavior. And they keep saying, we're your servants, trying to appeal to him from the point of view of humility, but also appealing to his higher qualities. And then Krishna says, I'm not lying. All my words are true. Even when I joke, I don't conceal the all-auspicious truth. And it's not proper to joke. With you, you're such glorious ladies, you're performing this extraordinary vrat, right? So I'm not joking with you. I'm saying, come take your clothes. It's not a lie. Again, they appeal to him. Why are you deviating from the path of Dharma? Don't do this to us. Let's see. Make sure that. Yeah. And they go back and forth. So at one point now, the gopis, the words of Krishna flowed like nectar from the moon of Krishna's mouth. They felt relieved, right? But due to fear, they could not decide between right and wrong. What's right is that Krishna's there. I'm accepting you, but you have to come out of the water without your clothes and stand before me in this very embarrassing way, right? That seems to be wrong. So they come out partially. They're covering themselves, they're crossing their legs, they're placing their hands over their private parts, and with their breasts hanging down slightly as they lean forward, the gopis look like golden forest creepers laden with heavy jewel-like fruits. Right? The desire for conjugal love captured Krishna's mind. Smiling, he spoke pleasantly. Oh, young ladies, this is not the proper conduct of righteous people. Okay, so they're hesitant, They can't quite come out like he wants, so he has to give them one more push. A person doing a vrat should never bathe naked in a river. By doing so, you have offended Jamuna Devi, the presiding deity of the river. And by playing, oh wait, I think I skipped something. I'm going to have to back up. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, the gopis couldn't move forward because of the power of their moral character. It was equal to their strong attraction to Krishna. Though saturated with Krishna prema, modesty subdued their ecstatic bliss. Glancing restlessly here and there from the corners of their eyes, the gopis came to the river's bank with great difficulty. Yeah, because this back and forth, some of it sounds similar, so I in my attempt to review what we had read and then get back to where we left off, I sort of missed the proper place. So here we are again. So Sri Krishna, the supreme relisher of rasa, looked at the young girls with astonishment and cleverness. Being overpowered by shyness, they hid behind each other while trying to cover their private parts from his curious gaze. To those qualified gopis whose hearts burned with an intense desire to serve him, Krishna said, "O Sakis, why are you afraid of me? You are standing there in a confused state, as if you are not the least bit attracted. How is it possible to cover yourselves? Sitting in the limbs of this tall tree, I can easily see you. On the pretext of morality, you are trying to cheat me. Now stand in a straight line, come before me, and exhibit your splendid beauty. By following my instructions, it will be very easy to get your clothes." So here's the crux of it. Why are you afraid of me? I am the object of all your heart's desire. Why now, at this most opportune time, under the pretext of morality or some, guidelines, are you avoiding my desire, my request to you? Right? I know everything. and that's also our state. We have to realize that in the presence of our guru, we should never try to hide anything. If we can, without subterfuge, without duplicity, open up our hearts to our guru, even though we know that there are faults, there's impurity, there are anarthas, there's just wicked things within our materialistic hearts, unless we reveal our hearts, without duplicity, then how can he purify them? We have to open them and say, "Oh, please, please purify this anartha. Please make this go away." With remorse, with humility, right? The gopis, they're showing this pastime is to show us on the topmost level. It's already been stated that they have pure prema. They've been taken birth in the body of gopis in Vrindavan. They've been given specific instruction by Brinda, by Purnamasi, by Jamuna Devi, how to fulfill this brat. This is the time of the perfection of all of their life that has led up to this. Millions of lifetimes of austerities and practice are coming to fulfillment here. And Krishna is saying, at this point, why are you holding back anything else? They're not holding back, actually. This is just a play of prema. And it's very, very beautiful. And we're hearing about that. But it's giving also example to us. Why are we holding back? We're being offered this incredible opportunity. Don't hold back. The Vraja-kumari, now that doesn't mean imitate these pastimes. Don't mistake what I'm saying. We don't go bathe in the Jamuna River naked and come out looking for Krishna. We don't hold back, following the order of our guru according to our adhikar, following the instruction of qualified Vaishnavas, revealed scripture, right? We're in Vaidhi Bhakti. But the lesson of this pastime, on the one hand, it's so sweet, so high. On the other hand, the underlying lesson, right? that we have to attend to. So the Brajakumaris attentively listened to the pleasing words of Krishna. Overcome with feelings of love, respect, and hesitation, each of the gopis slowly moved towards their beloved Lord. Krishna relished the purity of their love while observing their state of embarrassment. Putting their clothes on his shoulder, Krishna smiled as he drank the nectar from their sweet, loving faces. Right? So we've heard in previous commentary that when he put their clothing on his shoulder, he's sending them a message. Now I have your clothes. It's filled with your fragrance. I'm relishing the touch. I want to relish that same touch with you directly. Right? Their love is pure. It doesn't matter. Actually, again in Prem Samput, Srila Narayan Maharaj gives this extraordinary commentary. Why does Krishna act like a rogue? Why does he do these things that appear from the ordinary perspective to be adharmic? Why does he have these contradictory qualities? Sometimes like a thief, sometimes cunning, appearing to be a liar, appearing to be arrogant. We can understand God in the other heroic form, like Lord Ram manifests, but Krishna showing all these contradictory qualities. What is the purpose of that? And the purpose of that is to allow his devotees, like the gopis, to experience a multiplicity of sanchari bhavs, these other kinds of moods that are very diverse and very complex. Moods like hesitation, despair, anger, right? All these emotions that allow for this extraordinary diversity of love to be experienced. Kila Kinchita, which is one of the qualities of Radhika, where she comes to Krishna and all these contradictory emotions are flowing through her heart, and even though she's coming very close to him, even without understanding why, Krishna wants her to meet with him, she wants to meet with him, and then all of a sudden, these contradictory emotions cause her to turn around and walk away. For no reason, man or some impatience or anger towards him will erupt in her heart. Which then, what does that do? That causes Krishna, who was joyous with this opportunity to meet her, now, for some reason, now she doesn't want to meet me, and he's got to do something to overcome her reluctance. And then her friends have to do something to overcome the reluctance. And it creates this opportunity for infinite variety of pastimes, right? So their shyness just extends the pastime and allows them to relish it in very subtle and beautiful ways. So now Krishna, they're hesitant. He comes down from the tree, puts their clothing on his shoulder. He's smelling the fragrance of it. He's making a gesture. Oh, I want to be with you like this. I have your clothes. You should also come. In an affectionate voice, Krishna said, "It's very inauspicious to stand here with your hair hanging loose and disheveled. It is especially offensive for one performing a vrat. What to speak of a person observing a vrat? Even an ordinary person keeps his hair tied. Oh, beautiful young girls, even the celestial nymphs lose their beauty if they let down their hair. By this act you have spoiled your beauty. Oh, girls whose sweet faces conquer the moon, you should tie your hair in a braid." Again, their hair, what was it doing? It was covering their bodies, allowing their embarrassment to, be subdued a little bit. But he's saying, why are you doing this? You're, covering your natural beauty. The idea of tied hair is an expression of chastity, right? Tied hair. And yet he's telling them to tie their hair, but by doing that, they're going to be completely exposed to him. So it's so contradictory, and yet it's so clever and funny. Upon hearing Krishna's clever, pleasing words, the gopis lost all apprehension. Overwhelmed with prema, they slowly rose out of the water. Their golden thighs radiated a special type of elegance. The ankle bells on their pink lotus feet resounded like an army of quarreling ducks. As the young girls stood before Krishna, they pleased him with the fickle sound of their bangles. Their hair stood on end as the gopis relished the moment with nervous laughter. The young gopis looked very beautiful with their slightly blooming golden breasts. Because they're young, desiring to please the Lord, they tied up their hair in artistic ways. Though satisfied, Krishna spoke as follows. O girls, it is not right to stand before someone you respect. Even if you see me as an ordinary person, it is not right for you to stand before me. Therefore, come before me and obey me by sitting on this pure seat. For the gopis, these words flowed like nectar from the moon of Krishna's mouth. They felt relieved, but due to fear, they could not decide between right and wrong. The gopis crossed their legs and placed their hands over their private parts. With their breasts hanging down slightly as they leaned forward, the gopis looked like golden forest creepers laden with heavy, jewel-like fruits. So, the desire for conjugal love captured Krishna's mind. Smiling, he spoke pleasantly. O young ladies, this is not the proper conduct of righteous people. A person, because they're still covering themselves, now he's got to create one more clever thing, some conversation, some argument that will help them overcome the last bit of their shyness. Right? So, a person doing a vrat should never bathe naked in a river. By doing so, you have offended Jamuna Devi, the presiding deity of the river. And by playing in the water while looking at the bank, you have also offended the Devatas. Although you have obstructed my desires, your offense can be mitigated because you acted in ignorance. If you really want to achieve the results of your vrat, then you must atone for your offenses by following my advice. So now he's creating an argument that will completely destroy the last bit of the last armor of their shyness, right? Seriously considering Krishna's proposal, the doe-eyed gopis thought, we should do whatever the opposition suggests, but we cannot guess what he will say next. And if we do not comply, the results of our vrat will be destroyed. So what can we do? So the result of their vrat is standing right before them, but it's not fully fulfilled yet. They know that he wants it to be fulfilled. He's expressed his greed for them, but there's an obstacle. Their shyness is an obstacle. And he, in order to overcome their shyness, he's given them a reason and a means to overcome that last little bit of shyness. In other words, covering themselves up. So, what can we do? Our vrat may be destroyed. We may not get the final goal. So while thinking this, the gopis spoke among themselves. One gopi said, we are afraid and doubtful about following his advice. Though filled with great joy and fervor, the grip of timidity made the gopis apprehensive. So, understanding their fatigue and mental condition, and seeing them losing their natural color, Krishna said, O young girls, your glances fly hither and thither like the fearful eyes of the chakora. Why are you raising such harsh arguments? Please hear my words that can remove all the offenses made during your vrat. Can one quench his thirst without water? Without evening, summer gives no relief. Therefore, you should follow my order. You can wipe away all your sins just by offering your respects to me. If you do it with great faith and devotion, you will receive the desired result in many ways. O beautiful young girls, to counteract your offenses, you should stand before me with straightened legs and offer obeisance while placing your joined palms above your heads. Remember, in the commentary of the Bhagavatam, or was Gopal Campu, he was saying that, oh, you've committed offense to the Devatas and to Narayan. I am like your Narayan. Garga Muni has said, I am like Narayan for the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So you should offer your obeisance to me in that way. Right? And also, for us on a lesser platform, we also are filled with offenses. That's what obstructs our capacity to perform pure bhakti, to chant Shuddhanam. Offenses stand in the way. It's described, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, elsewhere, that one whose heart doesn't melt on reciting the holy name of the Lord, it's because such an iron-like heart is filled still with offense. And the only way to overcome offense is by complete supplication at the feet of our gurus and Vaishnavas, and not just saying it, but like the gopis, doing something, right? In other words, we have to put ourselves at the feet of our gurus and become their actual servants. That's why in the tradition of the Gaudiyas, there's chanting and there's also Guru Seva, right? Guru Padashaya Diksha, Guru Sevan, Saddharma Shiksha Priksha, Sadhu Magunagaman, right? It means taking shelter of Guru, Guru Padashaya, Diksha, taking mantra, receiving the holy name, right? Guru, and then Guru Sevan. But Seva has different components. Part of it is chanting our Nam, right? But also practical Guru Seva, the mission of Guru. Gurus come to help all conditioned souls. And now, having been rescued and taken on that boat, we have to row, we have to help, put up the sails, row the oars, bail the water, do whatever's required on that boat and help bring other conditioned souls, right? And that's why we have temples, that's why we have mats. I mean, you could just go in the forest, but are we qualified to do that? Our gurus aren't in the forest. They've come out from the holy Dham to reach and help us. And so our connection with them can be realized more by aligning ourselves with their desire, with their mood. Like Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya, Manubhishtam, Stapitam, Jaina Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam. He was fully empowered by Mahaprabhu because he understood the internal desires of Mahaprabhu and then worked completely to fulfill them, as did Sanatan, as did the Goswamis, as have our acharyas in our line. So now, they didn't commit any offense. This is all Leela pastime. They're so far beyond offense, but it's a pastime. And so they're thinking, oh, we've offended. But what are they going to do? They fulfill Krishna's desire and cast aside anything that might be interpreted as a personal concern or personal consideration, even their chastity and shyness, right? So, offer your obeisance while placing your joined palms above your heads. Casting aside their shyness, at last, the gopis obeyed the words of their dearmost lover. With half-closed eyes, they held their joined palms above their heads and offered respects to Krishna, who made them act just like toy dolls. The gopis pacified Krishna by standing humbly before him, with their heads hanging down. As Krishna's prema-filled heart melted, a nectarian smile perfumed his lips. They've melted Krishna's heart. Can there be anything higher than this? Glancing wantonly at the young girls, Krishna revealed his desires by saying, "You have greatly pleased me, and I feel the utmost limit of love for you. Dress yourself in your clothes, which are redder than pomegranate flowers. May you drown in the ocean of ecstasy according to your individual tastes of love. Drowning in the ocean of ecstasy means drown in my love for you and your love for me. Now we are fully united in love. They are in the realm of nothing but prema. Everything is submerged in this experience. Then, after saying this, Krishna extended his hand to give each gopi her respective clothes. The good fortune of the Brajakumaris far surpassed that of the goddess of fortune. Even Lakshmi doesn't have this. Holding their shimmering dresses in their hands, the gopis looked like clusters of golden lotuses bedecked with flags. They appeared very beautiful and ready for the play of love. Then they carefully put on their clothes that were nicely scented from the touch of Krishna's lotus hands. Glancing shyly at Krishna, their golden lotus faces bloomed with beauty. Their bodies trembled pleasurably from the excitement of finally achieving his association. Tasting the topmost happiness, the gopis stood there steeped in affection. Even without touching Krishna, they felt his powerful embrace. Previous chapters of the Bhagavatam were expressing the love known as Purvarag, love and attachment before meeting. Great rag, great attachment, but not fulfilled in the same way, right? And now they finally achieved his association, these young girls. Abandoning his gravity, the young prince of Vrindavan spoke compassionately to the young girls. I knew everything before the desire tree of your determination sprouted. I have performed this astonishing pastime just to increase your love. By ordering you harshly, I tested the purity of your love. Attracted to me, you submissively obeyed my beneficial orders, and therefore I have manifested eternal love within your hearts. Do we have a comparable situation in the Bhagavatam? There's a verse spoken by Krishna in answer to a question, why does Krishna put his devotees in difficulty? Right? What is it? It begins, Yasyaham anugrahami. I can't remember the rest of the verse, but he says, in order to show favor to my special devotees, I take away everything. I take away all their happiness in this world, the mundane happiness, so that bereft of everything, their near and dear, their relatives or friends, anyone who's not interested in bhakti abandons them. And then their only shelter left is me. And in that, I show them the greatest favor. Right? So Krishna's done this on the transcendental plane. Jai, 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 Shri Shri Radharaman, Jai, Srimati Lalita Vishaka, Shri Rupama Jai, Shri Datti Manjari, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. All right? So, so he's done that for them, and he's doing it to us on a different level, obviously. But that's how we should see these things. So he's explaining to them, this is for Leela, right? I've done this to increase your love, to show to the world the purity of your love. And in the 16th and 17th chapters of the first canto, when Dharma the bull is being beaten, and then he doesn't fault anyone, when Maharaj Pritchard says, who's done this to you? Whose fault is this? He didn't point to anyone in particular. Instead, he says, well, some say this, some say that. And Pritchard Maharaj says, I can understand that you are the embodiment of Dharma and devotion. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that Krishna will put his devotees in this realm in difficulty to show their glories, to show the elevation of their qualities and the purity of their devotion, their one-pointedness and dependence only on him, and to show an example for us. And in the Prem Samput, once again, Srimati Radhika says, for one who has love for Krishna, even something that appears to be difficult or be harsh, if one understands that this is the desire, this is in relationship to fulfilling Krishna's desire, rather than causing unhappiness, it causes joy, right? Joy. So, in our own service, if we can adopt that mentality, we have this obstacle, that obstacle. Well, Krishna's put that here to make us one-pointed. Then you become happy. You become happy. All right? It's a blessing. Whenever I give a class like that, generally something happens to me. And then I have to say, oh, well, you asked for it. But, hey, Krishna's in control. So by ordering you harshly, I tested the purity of your love. Attracted to me, you submissively obeyed my beneficial orders, and therefore I have manifested eternal love within your hearts. Right? Your desire is pure, eternally existing and laden with ras. I reciprocate differently with people in the mundane world. If a pure-hearted person displays such intense desires, I will transform them into prem. Then he will taste the blissful nectar derived from experiencing my qualities. This well of nectar exists independently of any other type of rasas. Even Lakshmi Devi hankers for the love that you have so clearly displayed. Just as rice paddy that is boiled in water or fried in fire can never show the qualities of the seed, similarly, the lusty desires of the common people can never sprout in the ocean of such supreme rasa. All right? So in our stage, we also require that we be put sometimes into difficulty so that we can cultivate detachment from the material so that we can recognize the qualities. He's saying, I reciprocate people different in the mundane world differently. On the level of karma, people just get the fruits of their reaction, good and bad. But in Vaidhi Bhakti, when we are interacting in this material world, we may also be put into difficulty. What comes to mind immediately is in the, in the time of Srila Prabhupada, he excited and inspired in the hearts of his disciples to preach vigorously. And at that time, there was so much opposition in the form of police and governments and the thoughts of people in general. So many oppositions, and yet the devotees went out day after day with books, with Harinam parties to spread this love of God, and sometimes encountered incredible difficulty. But they were so determined and empowered by Srila Prabhupada. He gave the special gift of conviction and nishta and steadiness that they would still strive to complete this task even under the most difficult conditions, and at the end of the day come back blissful. Even though sometimes even being beaten and battered or thrown in jail or enduring terrible cold or terrible heat, internally so happy, so blissful, right? Which is a taste of the reciprocation that Krishna and Guru will give to the surrendered person. Right? So after hearing Krishna speak, the thoughtful girls appeared beautified with the sweet fragrance of the vine of fickleness. The sweet fickleness is normally a quality which you become unhappy if someone displays towards you. But now, Krishna is showing this, they were relishing it. It's like the older gopis relish when Krishna steals their milk and butter. They complain about it, but they relish it. When Krishna lies to them, they relish it. Accepting the words of their dearmost as truth, the gopis experienced both immeasurable joy and agitation due to their intense longing for Krishna. Then the gopis cried tears of happiness that seemed like the fluid dripping from the ears of a lust-crazed elephant. Without responding to Krishna, the gopis just stood for some time with a disturbed look in their eyes. So the sattva bhavs within were making them stunned. They were just overcome and stunned. Now that their vrat was finished, the gopis felt surcharged with love and incredible bliss. They murmured among themselves with voices as sweet as cooing birds. Krishna continued, "Now return to Vrindavan. Soon we will enjoy together during a festive night. You have attained eternal perfection. So stop whispering like thirsty Chataki birds." I said, "What are you murmuring amongst yourselves? Go home now. We'll be together very soon." With their sidelong glances and lips trembling in love, the gopis appeared to be covering Krishna with a shower of blue lotus petals and newly unfurled leaves. Pacified and pleased, the gopis then returned to Vrindavan with great difficulty. Even the glance of one filled with prema transmits that love to the beloved, right? Not like these material bodies. Seeing them and and their glances at him, sidelong glances, lips trembling in love, they're covering Krishna, and it looks like a shower of blue. Why blue lotus petals? Because their eyes are blue, their glance is blue, right? Then they returned to Vrindavan, and now every day and every night they're just waiting. When will that flute call us to meet and dance in the evening with Sri Krishna? So that ends the extraordinary description in the Ananda Vrindavan Campu. Right? The next chapter in the Bhagavatam and in Gopal Campu and in this Ananda Vrindavan Campu is the favoring the wives of the Brahmanas, which comes in the summer. And that's a very beautiful pastime as well. But it so nicely follows this. There's a contrast. There's a subtle difference in the experience of the Brahmanis and how it ends for them as opposed to how it ends for these Vraja-devis, or how it ends for the gopis in Vrindavan during the Rasa Leela when Krishna tries to send them home. Anyway, so I have to decide what to read tomorrow. Possibly this, possibly something else. But in any case, we'll stop here. So offering obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, our Guru Varga, by whose mercy we're praying that something like of this enters our heart and these qualities enter our heart. We offer our obeisance, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. A little bit longer, but we had to finish this. Okay.